Just one day, I found under my 12-year-old's bed a pillow, a few dolls, and a flashlight. But what she said next totally shocked me. Until this day, I would never get it out of my head. And I'm like, Leah, what are those things? Why is it there? I expected something like, oh, Dad, I'm having a camp here, like any regular child would say, right? She said, Dad, when the terrorists come to kill us, I'll be hiding here, okay?
The Israeli pain is also valid. If you're a human being and that you suffer, I think it should be heard.
We feel the media has gone freaking wild. Nobody really knows because nobody's showing our side when they don't live here.
I think people should be allowed to make jokes. So how many mother Jews have to be killed before you stop?
Nobody's talking to Leah or any other Israeli child about their traumas now.
Just to take that one layer deeper, what does that bring up?
Such freaking anger. Right now we're fighting for our lives.
Is there anything that gives you hope right now? Welcome back to Culture Boy. I'm Calvin. I grew up in a cult and escaped, so you don't have to. And now I explore culture. If you've been following the channel for the last couple of episodes, you know I just released a doc called Hearts Unknown, where I went to Israel to get as close as I could to real people that are living within the conflict. One of those people that made the film possible is here on Culture Boy today, my friend Sagi Shrieber. Sagi, welcome to the show.
Oh, bro. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everything.
I mean, I have a lot to thank you for, man, because the truth is this documentary, which was something I've never done before. We talked about it here and there, like how much of a mountain it felt to climb. I couldn't have done it without you. Just the entire adventure of it all.
My pleasure.
So I really appreciate the support throughout it.
Bro, definitely.
All right. So the film's out. You're sort of front and center in a lot of it.
Oh man. Yeah.
So let's go here, like how you feel about being in it, because there was something you were saying with your barber. What did you off the air? What were you what were you saying about your barber and why?
I let him go, man.
Why?
I let him go. After seeing the doco and seeing my hair in it, I said, what the F was I thinking? And how the F was I looking? And I just switched the barber and went to another one. And yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good guy. I mean, like, you know, he's a good guy. But, you know, after seeing this film, I said, no more. You know, it's like I need to find someone who can cut my hair in a normal way. And I don't need to look like something weird. So, yeah. So anyways.
It's so funny. It's so funny, the things that we notice. Because when I was editing, I didn't notice the bad haircut at all. But then you watch the film, you're like, oh my God, my hair looks not the way I want it to. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's already a complex hair, but yeah, it's, you know, anyways. Yeah.
Well, your hair looks fantastic right now.
You.
I'm jealous, as you can see. Just to dive in, there's a few things I want to get some takes on. One major one that I'll talk about with Dave Portnoy later in the episode. But the first thing I want to do is get your take on, as an Israeli, so the film seems to be resonating particularly with Israelis and Jewish people. And it makes sense in a way because that's the perspective I mostly show. But I suppose I'm curious as to why, because I've gotten DMs. There's a lot of comments where people their hearts are opening or they're showing appreciation in some way. Yeah. So I suppose I'd love to hear from your side, either maybe as someone in the film, but if you can zoom out as just the Israeli community.
Right. Right.
What about it? Yeah. I'm curious what sort of is resonating, you think?
Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, it's number one, what you said, right? It's you mostly were on the Israeli side of the fence. It's not because you didn't want to, it's because it's really hard to get to the other side of the fence for natural reasons, so, and here's the thing. Look, I'm not right and I'm not left wing. I've never considered myself either.
I'm politically
Also,
homeless too, for what it's
yeah,
worth.
and I do consider myself a Western person, like almost everybody here in Israel. Western culture, we love to go to shopping malls and and sip on on cafes and in coffee places and with our laptops working on our startups. Like that's what we love to do. Okay, like and and that's like I would say the majority of the people that represent me, okay, in this conflict or in this war in Israel. These are most of the people that also go to the army. These are the people that serve because the religious people, for instance, here in Israel, there's like the really religious, let's say, the extreme religious, they don't serve in the army, okay, and those guys are getting like a lot of hate, from people like me. There's a lot of conflict internally here about this. Like this is war. Everybody's, also reserve duty. People like me are leaving their families to serve and do not come home for months and leave their jobs and get left behind and get post traumatic, like and everything like that is happening because the people like them don't join the army. So number one, there's a conflict internally. The people that actually serve, that pay most of the taxes, are people like me, all right? Normal, regular Western civilians living in a democratic Western society called Israel. And we grew up on peace. We grew up on coexistence. We grew up on, yes, there's also people on the other side that want to kill us, but one day we'll have peace with them. That's how we grew up. We didn't grow up hating them. We grew up actually saying, no, these are people that we're going to have peace with one day, and everybody's going to live in peace and harmony. Plus, we do live in coexistence. There's many, many Muslim villages like inside Israel, and so my daughter's daycare, one of the daycare staff members is Muslim with a hijab. Wow, like she's coming from a Muslim village, and we're talking about things, and we're like, my daughter loves her, and she's super friendly. We love her. She's one of the best staff that I've ever seen in any daycare, staff members. So it's like and they're doctors, they're pharmacists, they're working in the mall, they're working like, everywhere you see them. They're not just, they're in regular integrated into our society, like they should, because they have, Israeli passports, Israeli IDs, and they should be integrated exactly like, everybody else. They have the same rights. Okay. But, and here's the but, I'm not talking about the pain of Israeli Arabs, because I'm putting it aside for a second, like the discrimination that they might feel at the airport or, different things like that. Okay. But I'm talking about what resonated. What resonated is what's going on in the world right now is a villainization, I would say, of Israel. But not only of Israel, of Israelis and Jews.
Yeah.
We feel that all the world, the media has gone freaking wild. So I don't know if you've like seen any of the release of for instance, it's just an example. Greta, whatever her name is.
Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. So she went with like, she came with a boat and obviously with no permission to get into Israeli territories. They invaded Israeli water territories with no permission, illegally, in order to get to Gaza, right? And so the army just stopped her. They went on the boat. Like first of all, they got called to stop. They didn't, obviously. So the procedure is to get hold of the boat, right? Like by force, so to speak. There was actually no force. The soldiers got on the boat. And they said, "Hey guys, that's it. Like we're turning you around. Here are sandwiches and water." And they gave them sandwiches and water. I don't know if you've seen those footage. Probably the media has not shown them, but we have a lot of those footage where Greta gets a sandwich, and all of her staff members get their sandwiches. They threw all their mobile phones out the boat because probably they had a lot of pre-recorded videos. Apparently, they pre-recorded videos saying they were kidnapped by Israeli soldiers, and that's the video that came out. It was a pre-recorded video, not the video after the boat was taken over. It was a pre-recorded video that got very, very viral. Obviously, against Israel, we were kidnapped. You know who got kidnapped? 7th of October. People got freaking pulled out of their homes. You were there. You saw the homes, right? That's kidnapped, right? So what they did, they took him into Israel. They took the boat to Israel, and they gave them a plane back home. That's it. She got a plane ride back home. And in Israel, there was one thing that they were instructed by one of the ministers in Israel to do, to show them the October 7th footage. They were instructed to see the October 7th film.
Really?
Yes. And
did she see it?
I guess that she had. I mean, I don't, that's what we know. They were instructed to be put in a room and to be shown the movie before they were flown out. So anyways, so the title in BBC was, and if you look at BBC, Greta Thunberg something was held to watch the October 7th massacre film. Okay, it's something like that. And the word massacre was put in parentheses. Okay,
or quotes.
BBC
in quotes, like
in quotes. Yeah,
quotes like.
Sorry, not parentheses. Quotes.
Yeah,
yeah. It's like
quotes
not real.
Like that. Supposed.
Yeah, I have to show you this image. It's unreal. It's the BBC, right? And then other.
What does that? Just to take that one layer deeper.
Yeah.
What does that bring up? As somebody that's seen it and knows that it's there, you're living through it.
Such freaking anger and unfairness. And look, I mean, this pro-Palestinian demonstrations of free Gaza, okay, free Palestine, started happening a day after the massacre. It's not something that happened after Israel. Israel didn't go into Gaza about, let's say, a month or so after the massacre. But the demonstration started a day after the massacre. Not only demonstrations of Free Palestine, but there's recordings from the demonstration saying, our brave Palestinians took, broke out of their prison and took Israelis, like, the fuck, man, it was a massacre. It was a sadistic massacre. You know it because you've been there. Yeah. And so the Free Palestine was like, and I'm not getting into any, let's say, theories, or like, I'm not anything. I don't want to say anything I don't know about. All I know is this: there's footage of people out on the streets in the US, and blaming Israel before Israel has even done anything. When we were massacred, people got in the streets of the US and celebrated with Free Palestine flags. Okay? That's what happened. Fact. What does it say about anti-Semitism? What does it say about the hate for the Israelis? And what does it say when so many other massacres, untrue, like massacres that really happened, like when nobody got out to blame anybody, in Syria, in Africa, in so many places where nobody said a word, they don't care about it. But when we were massacred, before we even done anything, everybody got on the street with Free Palestine. The heck was that? Right?
Yeah.
Now, that's what we experienced. We experienced hate. And not only hate, when I was, basically, we were all grieving the first week, I got hate on my Instagram by people that either one of the people was someone I actually met at a conference. She claims to be Palestinian. She's just a US person that lives here. Nobody really knows like anything when they don't live here. So I started getting hate from different people, and I started getting like really kind of like a blame. Yeah, but what's Israel doing in Palestine? Killing babies. The heck you're talking about? Hamas is putting babies out, and I just, and that's, nobody understands that. And I guess when you showed our side, when you just, somebody, because nobody's showing our side. Nobody's talking to Leah or any other Israeli child, for that matter, about their traumas now, getting rockets and missiles every single day. Like it would be funny if now we get missiles now from the Houthis, because we get that almost on a daily basis now here in Israel. Like, imagine, I still go to the shelter almost every day. Like, nobody's talking about that. We get ballistic missiles every single day that sends us all the family to the shelter, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes at 7 p.m. You don't know when it's going to come. It's going to come almost every day. And what have we done to the Houthis? And that's the only thing that, nobody's talking about. When you came and you showed it, you're the only maybe first ever media of sorts, right? To actually anybody who cared. And that's the thing, because you cared. You came and you cared. You cared for both parties, but you cared, right? And what we experience is only people caring about Palestinians and only about how Israel is doing wrong and only about that. And you know what? Like, I mean, I've seen like yesterday, I went to my Muay Thai class. And in my Muay Thai class, just a guy that came back after months he's been in Gaza fighting as a soldier, right? In reserve duty. He left his family, left everything. And he came back now. He doesn't know when he's going to come back to Gaza. They're going to call him back soon. He's a fighter. But he came back, so he came to Muay Thai practice. And I asked him, how do you feel over there? And he's like, bro, it's mad, and he told me a story. And look, this guy has nothing to hide or nothing to lie to me, okay? He's a friend from Muay Thai class, okay? And he said, look, we have very clear, we hold specific areas, okay? With a limit, with a border, okay? The border is usually some kind of terrain that everybody on the other side knows. You don't cross this terrain. If you cross, you die. That's it. If you cross this terrain, you die. Because why? Because they're actually crossing it. And so what the Gaza people are doing, they're sending people to cross the border to die. Okay. Now, it's not the first story I hear. It's not the first one. It's the gazillionth one I hear. I heard about kids that they release out of tunnels in the middle of the night in order to get the kids shot. Okay. To see when the army, how it takes, and then take a photo of the dead child. I've seen multiple things like that. And actually in the child story, my friends actually said, we didn't shoot the child. We took him in and we helped him. And we asked, how can we help him? Like, we brought him to Israeli hospital. Like there's no like, and all the dead children and everything.
Can I pause you on that one? Yeah. The one thing I want to try to be careful with here is what I'm genuinely wanting to do is understand perspectives from the lived experience. And I'm not saying none of that happened, but but it starts to speak for
other people. Okay.
Other people. And what is so rich that I think is so missed is what you're saying, which is, because this is something I'm noticing, like since releasing the film and the reaction, and kind of what you're saying is there's genuine collective suffering, human suffering in Israel that is being all but ignored and worse.
Blamed. Yeah. We're blamed. We're not only blamed, we're getting murdered on the streets in the US right now, if you're noticing. And you know what? I'm supposed to fly in with my daughter.
Yeah.
I was considering canceling the flight. Really, like why should I be afraid? I'm going to be afraid. It's not a matter of if. I'm going to be afraid to talk Hebrew with my daughter in the streets in the US when I'm on the trip there. Really, I'm going to be scared. I'm going to be scared for the Uber drivers that pick me up, like I was scared last time I was there in March, because if they're anywhere near like supporting Palestine and they see I'm an Israeli, then they will ask questions and get mad at me for no reason. And they might even try to be violent or not pick me up, or I don't know what. Okay. And I don't want my daughter to be hurt. I don't want, us to be hurt. I'm actually really scared coming to the US now. Should an Israeli be scared coming to the US just because he's an Israeli Jew? Everything we've been through this year and a half, should I really be scared? We're going through really a hell here with this war and everything that we suffered and this massacre. And we know, everybody knows everybody, someone that got like killed in this massacre. And now after we're grieving, we're being blamed. And now we're getting, shot missiles at on a regular basis, and we're still being blamed. Nobody's talking about that. So
just to commentate on this, because here's something I learned on October 7th with how many missiles came over. for my audience, for anybody listening, I care about humans. And I know that if there's some people that might be watching this that's going to be like, yeah, but Sagi, look at this suffering that's there here on other sides and stuff like that. But then that starts to devolve into why it happened and like
Right.
pointing
It's
fingers
like,
and stuff like that. And but the point I'm trying to make really quick is because I'm seeing us, we're doing this online. We cannot. We need to stop doing this. We need to stop comparing pain. We need to not. We need to actually. We need to stop invalidating pain because pain is somewhere else. Like there's no fucking question that things are horrible for other parts of the world for Palestinians, uh, but uh, but I think those things need to be addressed as standalone, like both, like if a human being suffers, no matter who they are, that's valid. And I just want to bring that up because I think that's one of the things that's getting lost in this conversation is they see suffering somewhere else and it's completely being wrapped up and therefore invalidating you, your daughter Leah, just as an example, let alone the thousands and thousands of collective family human energy that I felt at Hostages Square. Mm-hmm. Those are real people.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, that's why I put that part in the film where I was like, that was my first night there. And I'm like, yeah. I'm genuinely coming to just understand both sides. And because we've talked that I'm still wanting to go deeper with going to the West Bank, like wanting to go to Lebanon, wanting to go to Gaza even at some point, because I'm trying to get to the bottom of this with real people. But the truth is it's being missed. And that there's this whole side that is also valid. Like the Israeli pain doesn't matter who you are, really. If you're a human being and that you suffer, I think it should be heard. So that's one thing I want to say.
And another thing that just you brought up this thing about like validation of pain and suffering, and that for entire groups. There's something, and this is a show about culture, right? We can't eliminate the accountability of culture. Once you're a person who looks at his neighbor and says, this neighbor needs to be like me in my religion, in my beliefs, and follow specific rules, you are a danger to society.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I'm saying is, there's a lot of a big problem in the Middle East of these kind of cultures. That's too much of them exist. Too much.
Got it. You're saying that there's too many cultures where they're sort of trying to impose what they want on others.
And
gotcha.
And yeah. Okay. And now that's number one. Nobody's talking about it, but let's say Gaza, the war has ended, they returned the hostages, okay? Let's say even Hamas said, okay, we don't want to, take control anymore. Like, let's say we dismantled Hamas forever. Okay, no Hamas anymore on earth. And the hostages are back. Great. What happens to all the Gaza people? Who is going to take care of their education now after they grew up on Mein Kampf and on hating Jews and wanting us dead? Who's gonna now also now they've seen the war? They actually are more even like now traumatized by Israelis, seeing us as the animal, the beasts. Who's gonna take care of culture? And by the way, here in Israel as well, there's like, that's what we talked about in the movie. It's like generational hate needs to be dismantled in a way.
Yeah.
Or generational resentment. It needs to be like talked about. And I think there's a lot of non-governmental and free people's like initiatives that can be created to do that, to create communication between both sides. But it's got to be like,
it's a big fucking problem.
It's a big problem because there's so much. There's like, if I really believe right now, I really believe that now it's as a thinking person, okay, I'm trying to be intelligent, and please, everybody can cancel me if I'm if I'm saying something not intelligent. But I really believe right now, but with all my heart, that at least 70% of all of Gaza, that's what I believe. Okay, I mean, if I talk to them, they would hate me right now for just for being Israeli, not even knowing me.
That's what it feels like.
That's what I feel like, and I can say that 70% of Israel right now looks at the Gaza people and are saying something like, they hate us, we hate them. But that's the kind of feeling, and I don't know how you can,
I think that's really sad.
yeah.
Honestly, that's why I want to go deeper, because the truth is I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know, but
it feels that way. It feels like
that way
because the world, and I want to go back to this main point, because there's something I want to talk about with October 7th and the rockets. Like, because the thing that I hear in a lot of what you're saying, there's so much genuine pain and hatred that you're feeling as a Jewish person, even as a non-religious Jew, and as an Israeli. And it feels like there's nowhere to turn and you have a target on your back. Yes, you want peace. You have the intentions of wanting peace and wanting to create a better future, but it doesn't even feel like it's possible, and like how to do it with like the re-education. One thing I wanted to point out, because there's going to be a lot of conversation, and has been a lot of conversation around who's inflicting more of the pain and stuff like that. I heard from someone recently that was in Israel on October 7th. She doesn't live there, but she happened to be there, that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rockets were caught by Iron Dome that day.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yeah.
If it's true,
I don't know if hundreds. I think like, but yeah, there was.
This
like
is the main. This is the bigger
attack.
point. This is the bigger
massive
point.
rocket attack. Yeah.
The bigger point was, if there wasn't the Iron Dome,
no, we would die. But
what would have happened? Right?
Die. By
what would have happened? Like, how many people, Israelis, Jewish people, religious people, non-religious, Arab, Muslim, how many people would have been truly massacred that day?
Yeah, that's what they tried.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
This is something that I think, just as somebody on the outside looking in, is not a small point.
Look,
I'm sort of validating.
Not only that, find the amount of rockets shot at Israel since October 7th. And I think you'll get to more than 10,000. The amount of times I've been in the shelter with my family has been tremendously just unlike, and I'm saying like, it's not even, I don't need, a part of a rocket fell on the rooftop of my home. A rocket blew up in front of my office. A drone hit an elderly home near my parents' house in the most quiet neighborhood in my city. It's civilian places. They're not shooting at they're not shooting at army targets or stuff. They're shooting at civilian populations, trying to kill as many people as possible, trying to get through Iron Dome and through the Hetz missile. They're sending ballistic missiles. The Iranian attack, well, they shot like an amount of like hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles. It was like Star Wars. So
this is what Israel, if I'm really understanding, this is what Israel's trying to stop.
They're trying to stop the annihilation of Israel. That's what we're trying to stop. They want to annihilate us. They want us dead, all of us. And that's what they're preaching in the Free Palestine, protests.
I want to separate this out, because I agree with you. I think there are some Palestinian protests that want to do that, but just for the sake of honesty, I also know and believe there's also people that just want to end suffering, and I don't think they know this part. I really don't think this part.
I think they don't care about this part. I think they don't care. And you know what I heard people say about this? It's like, oh, you got Iron Dome, you don't have to worry. That's what I heard. Oh, you got Iron Dome, you don't have to worry.
here's why I think it's so important to bring up. Intent matters.
Yeah.
And the fact that like I just imagine, like if you're shooting rockets, what's the intent?
To kill as many as you can.
Exactly. So I'm trying to think at this, even though I'm still the outside looking in, wanting to understand this deeper. I'm now taking the perspective of an Israeli. Like, yeah, holy fuck, somebody is truly trying to destroy tens of thousands. Like, I'm trying to
They've saying it. That's what they've been preaching. The Hamas is actual, like they were in control of Gaza. They were the government of Gaza. And on their actual manifest, it says, one day behind every stone and every tree, there would be a Jew hiding, and it will say to the Muslim, hey, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill it. That's their manifest.
Okay. What I want to do
what they've done on October 7th as well.
Yeah.
That's they massacred.
Okay.
By the way, civilians as well. Like, you know that as well. Many of the massacres, the people that came in and massacred Jews were civilians. Yeah. They brought in elderly people in wheelchairs. They brought in everything that kids with bikes came and massacred. Like, it was just, that's what it was.
Everything is like a validation of like, we're trying to be completely obliterated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they are
because the narrative that I'm seeing, and it's probably, I can start to see the frustration as an Israeli, is that Israel is this big, I mean, this was the funny line that Chris Rock said. I talk about Chris Rock in the previous episode because Chris Rock came and walked up to me randomly in a coffee shop because I was wearing this shirt, trying to, and his thing was Israel just needs to stop fighting and then everything works out. That was basically his point. And I was like, honestly, I saw the exact opposite because of you. You explaining to me, like, no, like if we stopped. Here's the thing. I'm not confused why this is. People do not know how to calculate non-events. And the only thing is they're missing the, I mean, there's true suffering and true events, but there's also not capturing all of the, like, you guys are having to defend yourselves like fucking crazy with things like Iron Dome and stuff like that. But that's, and the targets that you're feeling on your back constantly.
Yeah.
I want to take that deeper into Israel though, because there was something that you said that I caught that was fascinating to me. You said that there's a bunch of religious Jews that don't fight. They don't go to the army, right?
Yeah.
I also know, based on conversations I've had with you and people I interacted with while I was in Israel, not everybody is completely fond of your prime minister.
Of course.
Netanyahu.
He's a fucking asshole. Sorry, actually, don't put that. Actually, I don't know. You can put that part, but I don't want to get
I mean, a lot of people, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I want to.
He's really bad.
Okay. If there was a single sector that voted him in, who is it? Who's his greatest supporter?
Yeah. It's a big point, right? So you say like the majority voted Netanyahu, like the majority voted Hamas, and now you can fight with each other, okay? But look, number one,
what I'm trying to understand is, because what I'm picking up from what you said, I was under the impression that his greatest supporters were the religious Jews. Am I off on that?
No. Yes and no. Look,
okay.
The religious Jews, like the really extreme religious Jews, are just a minority in Israel. So they can't be the one that elected the prime minister. Let's face it, okay? The Netanyahu played on the, let's say, a lot of the population in Israel with the narrative of, I will protect you from them massacring you. That was what he played in the whole entire, since 2001 or whenever he started, like, preaching the security narrative. He's like, we know that we have a threat. It's Iran. We know that we have a threat inside. We'll take care of Hamas. We'll take care of like this. We'll take care of that. Like, we will keep Israel secure and you won't have to worry. Don't take the word of the liberals for that, or the Democrats or whatever. We don't have liberals and Democrats, but we have, like, let's say the left wing, right? He was like right wing, and he was the leader of the right wing in a way. And he was saying to Israel, look, you can't trust those lefties because you will be massacred in Israel if you trust those lefties. Okay, that was his narrative. The narrative is like security, security, security. And he's a great motivational speaker. Like, really, Netanyahu is a genius in storytelling. Genius. You can see him on stage. He's genius. You can see his interview with one of the what's his name? The big forgot
Lex
his
Friedman.
name. No.
I watched him with Lex Friedman, and I felt the
Yeah,
same
well,
thing.
also with
It
Lex
sort of
Friedman.
made me uncomfortable, honestly. Watching him, it made me uncomfortable because I agree with you. It made me uncomfortable for how good he was at storytelling.
Yeah, he's really good at storytelling. Now, look, I can say also that, let's say my I'm like a let's say a white oh no, I'm not, I'm half Ashkenazi, half Sephardi. Nobody even on the podcast know what that means, but basically, like, I'm like the um the white supremacist of Israel kind of person, right? You can, if you divide Israel by different, like, even socio-economic status, I'm on the top. I'm making one of the top because I'm working with startups in the tech industry. You can look at the startup tech industry, which is huge in Israel, but still it's not the majority of Israel, right? Not all of Israel is startups. Like, there's a lot of countryside and a lot of, like, so if you're looking at regular people that work everyday jobs and just want to get by and want to live in Israel and not be, and we know how many other countries around us want to kill us. So the narrative of security is pretty tempting. Netanyahu got his way a lot of the times. Also, he was very strong in economics. So he's done some moves in economics. So he's done a lot of good things in his times, in a way. But from here to saying I support him, I really don't. Number one, okay.
And why?
And the last time the last time he got elected, I don't know if anybody knows this, but Netanyahu was elected multiple times. He served as prime minister. This is now, he's like, sorry if I'm not getting this right, but fourth or fifth, time being the prime minister of Israel. Okay, Netanyahu has pretty much had control of Israel since 2006 or so. So
6 times is what it says. Benjamin Netanyahu has been prime minister of Israel a total of 6 times. Yeah.
6 times, right? So the guy's like, that's why he's getting also reelected, because he's getting reelected because he's done something right in the past. Now, if you're taking now, okay, you're taking, like, in the last time he went into power, and there was a cycle of a few elections here in Israel because there was no clear leader to Israelis. There was no clear person to be the prime minister and the leader of Israel, okay? And Netanyahu just got elected. But in order to get elected and form a government, what he had to do is he had to bring a lot of people that didn't support him, but wanted to be there for the sake of being there. So that's when he got the extreme religious Jews part. That was the last time he got elected. And once he got those people, man, those are bad people. Some of them are the people in power.
They're extreme and religious.
Served in the army. They are
Say that again?
Some of the people in this government have not served in the army.
That was the point I was actually zeroing in on that really makes me nervous. The thing that makes me really nervous about having people in government that didn't serve in the army, or even supporters, they don't have any skin in the game.
They don't have experience in the game, and not only experience, they have really, look, again, Netanyahu has on his side people that want to have power and kind of also pull his strings. They say, if you make this move or that move, I leave the government and you will not have power, and you'd be the country will go to elections. You don't want that, right? So do what I want, right? So, like, people are pulling his strings as well. Netanyahu has been hijacked in a way, but by his party. And not only that, he's also just a power freak, I would say. And also, and I don't know what I'm supposed to say to not get sued or something, but it's like, but he's
in your opinion.
He's
I think you
it's
think
only
if you
my
put the phrase,
opinion. I'm not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's been in trials. Okay, he's about to be convicted, and everybody's saying that's what it's going to happen. Now, if that's true, okay, imagine yourself as the prime minister. That's the only force. You know that once you go down, you go to jail. You don't keep your lifestyle. You go to jail. So of course you want to keep going with the war efforts and everything like that. That's the only thing that keeps you in power.
Mm,
So number one, yes, Netanyahu is not a good leader right now. And
yeah.
Netanyahu is also, you can say whatever you want about him, bad person, whatever, okay? But I mean, there's a huge, huge, huge but. He's not a genocidal maniac. That's what people don't get. What people now say, Israelis are committing genocide in Gaza and all that stuff, okay? If we wanted to commit genocide in Gaza, it's exactly what you said. We have enough power in our bombs in the airplanes to wipe Gaza in a second off the map. Okay, we could eliminate Gaza. There's no reason to move people from this city to that city, from that village to that village, and say, we're clearing this village, get out of this village, move to that village, and to even send our troops to die there. Soldiers are being killed as we speak in Gaza right now, trying to fight a surgical fight. We're not genocidal, okay? And that's what people have to understand. Even if they hate the Israeli government, and the people like me hate the Israeli government right now as well, and we want to see it go down and to have a new government, it's because we know that the new government would do more to get the hostages back. And to do more to get the hostages back is not maybe, but not maybe keep the war going. We don't know yet how many. We know that more efforts could have been made to get the hostages back if only more compromises have been made by Israel in the negotiations. But we know also that Netanyahu has no reason to stop the war. So we don't know his true, he has a lot of pressure to get the hostages out, but he also has his pressure on himself to keep the war going in a way. So I think he lost his trust completely by the Israeli, at least the people that want the hostages back, because that's also a situation where some people in Israel are like, the hostages shouldn't be back. We should just fight and kill all of Hamas, and that's it. The main mission is Hamas, to not have a threat. But I think it's both. I think it's like, number one, hostages. Like, that's me, right?
Family
Like,
back, get people
negotiate,
back,
get them back at any cost. So we release all of like the Palestinian and the Hamas, whatever is needed. Get our people back, because if I was kidnapped tomorrow, I want to know that Israel has done its best to get me back.
Yeah.
And right now,
I'll come. I'll come if you got like,
so it's
you want
like,
people looking out
that's
for
what
you.
the families feel. That's what the families feel, that the government is not doing enough to release the hostages at the moment. And
that was the one thing, because one thing that blew my brain the most, and I like when my worldview is like completely obliterated, because it makes me realize that there's so much to learn. And one of those things is how many different viewpoints there are in Israel. I learned the phrase two Jews, 3 viewpoints, or 3 opinions or something. But the one thing that I saw as a theme that everybody wanted, whether you were a left-leaning Jewish person or right-leaning Israeli, is, can we get our people back, please? Like, hostages seemed to be
people like us. It's people like me being held in tunnels right now. It's just not okay. It's just not okay. It's like, it's not okay. It's like nowhere in the world should regular people be kidnapped, out of their beds and be over 2 years in tunnels underground, and starved and look, the stories of the people that are coming back with what they've been through, they're not held in conditions that, they're held in, like, they're really being women being raped and men being tortured and like, terrible stories that are coming out now, like after a while that they came back, and you're like, no, we need to get them back. That's the most important thing. How can we go on as a country when people like me, like, if I was kidnapped tomorrow, it's just me. That person inside the tunnel right now could have been me. Could have been my kids. Could have been my wife. Could have been everybody.
Yeah.
Therefore, we feel this solidarity together, and therefore,
Yeah.
we really care about that. But now we're feeling also we're getting blamed by the world. So,
On that note, have you seen the video with Portnoy, Dave Portnoy, having a meltdown sort of thing, fight with his employee? We're gonna watch it. I want to get your take on it. He's a Jewish person, and because I think all this is tied in to what's going on right now if you're a Jewish person or Israel. So let me share my screen here and we'll watch it together.
remind me to say something about Iran, by the way.
Okay.
Very important perspective.
Okay.
Iran and Lebanon.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about Lebanon at the very end. Because we're going to bring up this text message or this comment that I shared with you. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Let's see if you can hear it.
If you just
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. So just to set this up, this is Dave Portnoy, owner of Barstool Sports. And on the right here is his employee. Dave Portnoy is Jewish. He's basically pointing out how things are so like, should we even be saying jokes right now because of what's going on if you're a Jewish person? So let's watch it. Then I would just love to hear your take.
Okay.
If you just want me to kick him out, not mention it, not care that this kid is anti-Semitic, shut up. If you just want me to ignore it,
don't tell me to shut up. Don't
shut the up, you bald.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Oh, it's kill. I'll never recover from that, Dave. Go ahead, continue. I'll never recover.
Well, you're the one who big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you, you work for me.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
You little bitch, you work for me.
Sure, you bet. For now,
oh, you
continue.
Don't? For now, quit. I don't care.
Is this show or not a show? Like, is a show or not a show? Like, we can't have a conversation?
You're an idiot.
Okay, continue.
You're literally saying people should be allowed to make Jew jokes, say whatever they want right now. That's
I think people should be allowed to make jokes.
So how many mother Jews have to be killed before you stop?
Yeah.
My initial read, and I would love to hear you to take this further, is I don't even know if even somebody that gives a fuck. I care about all humans, but right now you're a human, that you're on the Israeli side here. I don't think I even know how to grasp what sort of trauma or terror that you're going through collectively. And I feel like that's why that's coming up with somebody like Dave, like having a blow up because he's feeling like he's having to defend, like, Jews are getting killed in America for being Jewish.
Yeah.
I just want to see if I'm reading this right. And like, what's your take with seeing him get so emotional about somebody else saying, yeah, it's okay to say Jew jokes. Anyway, I'd just love to hear any of your thoughts around this.
There's two things about it. Number one is the terror and suffering that we're going through right now. And number two is the anti-Semitism, which we're going through right now in the world. It's two different sufferings. The direct suffering of Israelis that just people don't understand can be expressed by my own story. I can only express it from my own story. And it wasn't in the film. I don't remember if we even talked about it. And if we did, it was not in the film. So I'll say it. It was, I think, a month before you came or so. Something like that, where I found under Leah, my 12-year-old, back then, when the war started, she was 10. I found under her bed a pillow, a few dolls, and a flashlight. Just one day. I found it because she dropped something under her bed or something, and I just kind of like said, let's get it from under her bed, and I moved the bed kind of closet under her bed, and I saw these things, and I'm like, Leah, what are those things? Why is it there? I expected something like, oh, Dad, I'm having a camp here, something like any regular child would say, right? But what she said next just totally shocked me, and until this day, I would never get it out of my head. She said, Dad, when the terrorists come to kill us, I'll be hiding here, okay? So if that doesn't express the horror and the pain and the suffering that we're going through, I don't know what can. My heart broke that moment, and just 2 days ago, I talked to my mom and we were talking about sleep just because of biohacking and stuff. Just a good talk, like between me and my mom. And she was like, oh, sleep. I just can't sleep since October 7th. I'm like, what? It's like, I've been waking up every day at 4 with nightmares. And, I experienced that too for over a year after the war started. And the reason is very simple. There was so much footage that those monsters, they recorded everything. And we saw the footage. And PTSD can be caused after that we learned, only after that we learned. PTSD can be caused by watching footage alone and not experiencing the act itself if you have enough resonance with it. So if you watched very horrible footage of things that actually happened to people like you, the nightmare, one of the things that I will never forget from October 7th, the horror would never come out of my head, is on the same day the footage came out to the news, I saw an Israeli family, a dad, a wife, and 3 kids. The dad was already shot in the leg or something and bleeding and sitting with the entire family. The kids are terrorized as terrorists are now preparing them to be hostage, to be kidnapped or killed. And are just putting them, and then they're trying, the family's like, please don't hurt us, please. And they're like, just shut up. And that's what the footage, it was on Instagram, I wasn't even on Telegram to see the bad footage. I never forget it. I was like, oh my fucking God. It's like families like mine, terrorists come into their home, they shoot the members. The kids are horrified and they're going to be kidnapped. They're saying, we're taking you into Gaza. Shut the fuck up, bitches. And what are the moments of terror that these families are going through at the moment? Some of them will be shot. Some of them would die in tunnels. Some of them now are still there. And I don't know if we ever see them alive again. And so that's the horror and terror of the Israeli people at the moment, right? And now I'll get to the anti-Semitism. Look, a lot of bad governments have done bad things in the world. I've never seen anything like we're suffering right now from the hate. Never. And actually, to tell you the truth, if you look at it in a way of perspective, we were shot hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones from Iran, right? Do you know that I or anybody around me are like, Iranian are cool people. We want to live with them in peace. We don't hate the Iranians. We're like, we don't have anything against Iranians. Actually, we want to liberate them from their, Iranian government. We would love to see them and travel to Iran one day and also Lebanon as well. Like we know not all people in Lebanon hate us. And we know in Iran as well. There was actually a big campaign, We Love Iran. And on Facebook, one of my ex school class, my art school, he was leading this initiative. And like people of Israel sent like, we love, like, with like a picture of them, like, we love Iran, we love you. And Iranian people sent back on Facebook, Israel, we love you. Obviously, way less Iranians did that because they're scared. But basically, it was a big campaign. Look, it's not happening right now with the world to Israel. Nobody's saying, Israel, we love you, Israel. And actually, people from the US, our allies, are now protesting on the street to globalize the Intifada and from the river to the sea, and are killing Jews. When? Since the Holocaust, before the Holocaust, did this happen? When did Jews get murdered on the street for being Jews? When? That's the suffering. When? For being Jews. There was like Asian hate, there was like, Black Lives Matter, all that's, it's not even close to the level of hate that is being not only not stopped, but celebrated and spread in the news outlets with this Greta Thunberg and with this like BBC and CNN, and they're keeping on doing that. Even when Jews were murdered, it was saying something like, it was not even saying the word Jews. Nobody's really doing anything about it and just spreading it out. So the going off on a Jew joke right now, I think it's the right thing to do. I think any American, if he hears a Jew joke, he should stop the person doing a Jew joke. I think right now we need to end anti-Semitism, and it will take years and years and years. Jewish people and Israelis as a brand, our reputation was hit. We have no way to explain ourselves. We actually, we don't need to. Right now we're fighting for our lives. We're fighting to not be annihilated. We're still getting shot rockets at from Houthis in Yemen. Who the fuck knew about them before this war? They're an Iranian proxy. So we're still at war. We're still suffering. We still have hostages. We're still going to the shelter almost every day. And we're being hated on and being murdered in the streets in the United States of America. That should be defended. That should be for that reason and for that matter, any single pro-Palestinian person that thinks about going to the next demonstration should think twice. And if they do go, it's on them. The accountability is on them for spreading the hate against Jews and Israelis. That's what I believe. Any single demonstration right now is not for peace. It's not for stopping to killing babies in Gaza, as far as I care.
You just made me realize something that I don't think I picked up until now, and that is because I've noticed a lot of Jewish people be very impacted by seeing something like Free Palestine. Now, I have to admit, on the outside looking in, I'm like, I want all people to be free. I want all people to be alive. I want your 10-year-old, 11-year-old, my 11-year-old, my almost 8-year-old to be free and to live in peace and to be able to thrive. But what it seems like is deeper than that is it's not being perceived that way. What's happening is when you see something like that and you have all of this going on, all of the anti-Semitism and all of the fighting for your lives, it sort of feels like that the protesters and the world is agreeing with all of that.
With the annihilation of Israel. It's very clear, okay. And let's say it bold. Free Palestine means kill Israel. That's what it means for most people out there. They don't care. Yeah. You know how many people now I've seen actual plays on that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is all anti-Semitism should stop. They don't understand. It already reached a level of murder on the streets. It should stop immediately. Free Palestine, keep it to yourself for now, right? We don't need that, and nobody needs that right now. Nobody needs Free Palestine. You want to talk about children in Gaza and stuff like that? Go raise charity and make sure it gets directly to the families of Gaza. Go do something. Don't protest on the street to globalize the Intifada, to Free Palestine. Free Palestine means kill Israelis. That's what it means. That's anti-Semitism supporting.
Okay.
So anyways, I went over and actually.
Yeah. I still. Do you still have 10 minutes?
I really don't right now.
Okay.
That's 3. Let's give 3.
I was going to read that comment, but I think that comment is gonna take longer than that. Okay,
but let's just talk about it openly, and then maybe you can show the comment. Or
something. Yeah, and I'm actually gonna. I'll have you go, and then I'm going to. I will actually keep going. I'm gonna leave. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you gotta run. Is there anything that gives you any hope at all right now?
Look,
Honestly.
Hope is, I'm not, the word hope is a bit of a problem. I don't have hope at the moment. But I got to keep my faith, right? Faith is the evidence of things hoped for and things not seen, or something like that, right? That's what it is. So we got to keep faith that things will work out. We got to keep raising our children for love and not for hate. And we got to stop anti-Semitism. Like that's one of the biggest things I think in the US right now. Most of your people probably are from the US. So I'm like, we got to stop anti-Semitism. Like it has to stop. And blaming Israel, you got to stop doing that. When you blame Israel, Israelis will die. And I'm afraid of traveling to the States right now. I am. Like it doesn't have to be that way. Holy shit, it's the States. I lived there for 3 years. Anyway.
Well, hope you still come. Would love to see you here in New York. Show you around. You'll be safe where I hang out. I hang out with Jewish people all the time. So
thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's wrap with this. I just want to say thank you. Not only for you've been one of the most generous people that I know. You were very generous with everything from you paying for my meals, inviting me to see things. But the other thing that I think is really that we haven't touched on that I want to wrap with, and I know you got to run, is you also were very instrumental in me getting the perspective that you don't agree with. I was going to ask you why. I don't even need to go into it, I guess, because of time, but I think that says a lot about you as a person, and you've been very open with sharing some of the pains and the traumas and everything that's going on right now in Israel. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, brother. I mean, it was my pleasure. And for me, I know that you wanted to get both perspectives, so I respect that. And I, would love to, I would love to, see what you come up with in Lebanon. I don't know what people are thinking, what the, surrounding there. I bet in Lebanon, most people want peace, but, go there, find out, West Bank is just, I was afraid for your health, but but I think also a lot of people there, some villages would welcome you there and you could talk to people. But I just believe I'm kind of like you in a way. I do believe in people, and I do have faith that humanity would just become better. Although right now what's happening is proving us pretty wrong. But
I don't want to keep you waiting. I know you have to run, so thank you so much, brother. I love you
so much.
Be well.
Love you too, man.
I'll just let you end it because I'm going to keep recording to wrap up the episode.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Man. I know this is going to be an episode that is difficult for a lot of people to watch, especially if they've been on I've seen the footage of people being destroyed. But this conversation that I just had with Sagi is probably why I want to do more with this podcast and maybe even doing additional episodes with Hearts Unknown. If you're a producer and you believe in humanity and you want to work together to make more episodes where there's so much fucking pain going around. We don't even realize it. And I know there's going to be comments of people saying, well, what about this pain? What about, you're not wrong. You're not wrong that there is gut-wrenching pain that is happening. You're not wrong that there's gut-wrenching pain happening. I kept hearing, and I kept hearing in the comments, buts, when Sagi was talking, that if anybody's watching this and you've seen the pain that Israel's calls, you're going to be butting a lot of it. But and you're like, well, Calvin, why didn't you but that? Here's why I didn't but it. Because I'm trying to get to the bottom of what's causing the deeper pain. I know that as much as Sagi shared, there is an underbelly of pain that is so deep that I, as an American that has never felt targeted for my existence have no comprehension for. Everything that he said is not wrong. And again, there's this whole other side. There's a reason I have a shirt that has this, because I believe in humans. One solution, team human. I believe in this ultimately. But this means that you have to take the perspective of the human and not invalidate one over the other and say, well, yeah, but it needs to be and. If we're going to get to the bottom of it, we have to see where both sides, all people, are suffering. And I'm still going to go deeper on this side. It's going to be heavy as fuck. I know it's going to be heavy as fuck. It's already been heavy. Sagi talked about sleep. If anybody knows me, a sibling or a friend, I have this line that says, I don't have any superpowers, but I've got one. My one superpower is I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep anywhere, and I can. I've been a traveler for the last decade, and I've slept in cars, airports, hard floors, concrete. I can sleep anywhere. I had the worst fucking sleep of my life when I was in Israel. And I'm hearing he made the comment of somebody not getting sleep, can't sleep. I actually think that my sleep has been permanently disrupted by going. And I'm not even Jewish. And I can't imagine, it's not to say that the Palestinians get great sleep. They don't. The thing that I think I'm trying to make a point on is we're not going to make progress for the Palestinian side if we're not willing to hear the pain on the Israel side. It's just so heartbreaking to hear somebody say, I don't know if they have hope. I do. Because I genuinely believe in humans. Because the thing that I will say is it was so interesting to hear what it feels like to be Israeli and have not only the targets on your back, the literal rockets being shot at you, the annihilation of your existence, but also there's so much online. He's not wrong. There's so much hatred that I see online. I'm seeing a lot of people having a lot of hate towards the Israeli government. And I actually think that isn't unfounded. But I think what's conflated is the blending up of the governments with everyday Israelis. They're not the same thing. And there's going to be people that say, well, what about this pain? What about what Israel's doing to people in Gaza? This is what I've learned listening to this. It is nearly impossible to extend empathy when you yourself are under threat. Again, I believe in humans. And I feel like almost as a duty to humanity, not feeling like I'm under threat, to extend the empathy on both sides of this tragedy. And if somebody watching this, if you're saying, you know what, Sagi and Israel, they should see all the pain that they're causing, blah, blah, blah. Let's take our own fucking medicine and extend that empathy to the pain that we're seeing. Because I think what's happening is there's this phrase that is so true, and that's hurt people hurt people. What do you think people are going to do? What do you think a government's going to do if they feel under threat? I think the thing that we have, the reactions that we're having to the footage is good. It's good that we have the reaction that we're like, this is horrible when we're seeing what's going on in Gaza. It is horrible. We should keep that. I'm not saying take a side and ignore that. I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying because we care, and if we even go as so far as to say that it's coming from Israel, which quite literally it is, it's coming from the Israeli government. And it's the reason it's coming because they feel under threat and they feel unseen. And what if the part that we could play is actually just seeing people? It's starting to make sense why it just like one thing makes it just like derails, because they're under threat. They do things to defend themselves and also end up killing innocent people in the process. People get upset because of that, as they should. They're humans. And so then they're putting a lot of pressure on Israel. And then it's just creating this fucking horrible cycle. You know what? This is what I'm going to end this episode on, because this is not a fun episode for me to record. Because I still want to get to the bottom of this on this side and also on the Palestinian side. What I think I want to do is ending on the celebration of people that I want to celebrate, the people that are here at the end that also want to see the pain on all sides. I think what's gonna actually give us hope in this? I think it's gonna be courage. I think it's gonna be the courage to not get swept up on one side or the other. I think it's gonna be the courage to see people as people, no matter what their label is, no matter what side they're on. It's gonna be people that see the pain. And I know that this is already something that there are people all over the world that genuinely do care about Israel, Israelis, and Palestinians. We need to keep that. We need to grow it. I'm going to share, there's this Instagram page that one of my Israeli friends sent me. It's called Forbidden Bromance, this Reddit page, Forbidden Bromance. And what's it about? It's about Israel and Lebanon. While Israel and Lebanon are officially enemies, many people on both sides feel no animosity toward the opposing side and want our two states to be at peace. This subreddit is for Lebanese and Israeli Redditors who want to be bros and show the world that nothing stands in the way of true love. I really think this is what's going to shift it, if it shifts. It's not going to come from a fucking government. It's not going to come from a politician. It's going to come from regular human beings that are willing to see each other. And there's this comment. So somebody in Forbidden Bromance put Hearts Unknown, my documentary, in this. And I'm going to read the whole thing because I think it gives the clue of the way forward in this messy human tragedy that we find ourselves in. I stumbled onto this YouTube video that I felt I had to comment on because I am putting a lot of effort into deprogramming and de-traumatizing and training myself to be more vocal around this topic. I know what you're thinking, but I'm deliberately trying to build a suspense. Because it's fun, right? Please watch this video. It's about an ex-polygamous cult member with 44 siblings, true story, turned self-funded journalist and YouTuber who traveled to Israel on a mission to get as close to real Israeli and real Palestinian perspective as possible, all while documenting his journey. Naturally, I felt I had to share my comment here. I'm not fishing for comments, no backstory, no agenda. Just take it for what it's worth. So the guy told me, from Lebanon here, I can't thank you enough for making this video. And I said, hi there. As someone from Lebanon, I'd love to hear why. I wanted to know, why did this resonate so much? If you don't mind, share it, because I want to go to Lebanon. I want to hear the Lebanese perspective as well. And then this guy from Lebanon gave me this long comment. I'm going to read the entire thing. He's like, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that, but okay. Here are a few thoughts. As someone from the Middle East, I genuinely empathize with both my Israeli and Palestinian neighbors. It often feels like our collective suffering is commodified, weaponized for agendas far removed from the actual people on the ground. That exploitation only deepens the cycle of pain. Legally, as a Lebanese citizen, I'm forbidden to have any direct or indirect relationship with any Israeli individual or entity. This anti-normalization law was enacted after the Civil War ended 34 years ago. It's not always enforced, but people have gone to jail for something as minor as a Facebook message. And I just have to jump in here and say, this is why I believe it has to come from the bottom up and not top down. He's totally right here that it's being weaponized for agendas far removed from the actual people. And I'm so nervous when I see people that are making decisions that they have the incentives are not connected correctly. For like, if you're in government and you've never fought, I'll keep going. Because this gets bananas to me, especially right here. I've never been to Israel. I'm not allowed to. I've never met an Israeli in person either. They're right by each other. They're neighbors. I've never been to Israel in person. This blew my mind. But this also warmed my heart when he says right here, I'd really like to. I'd really like to. Watching you engage with everyday Israelis was deeply refreshing. It sounds strange, but hugging everyone at Hostages Square and telling them that they've got friends across the border is something I genuinely want to do. Beginning with Sagi and his beautiful family. Beirut is just an hour from the border. Yet it feels like 1,000,000 miles away. And this is what I see happening. It like we're getting caught up in comparing pains and stuff like that, but can we see each other as people? I've had such fucking hard parts of my life, and this is not to equate death and destruction, but if somebody was telling me something that was genuinely hard for them, what are they going to feel like if I'm like, oh, but I've dealt with way harder? No, if somebody's going through that, they need to be seen in it. And so that's why I'm highlighting this, is like, it feels like 1,000,000 miles away. Now, here's another line. Not all Israelis are Netanyahu, just like not all Lebanese are Hezbollah. We both know that about each other, but it's always the fuck-ups of a select few that speak the loudest and ruin chances for peace, reconciliation, or even just a decent conversation between people who might otherwise get along. I see myself as a curious human being with a shitload of compassion to give to anyone who's looking for it. And that's exactly why I needed to thank you for this video. I often feel alone in that sentiment. Listening to you articulate how you don't want to feel nervous about simply wanting to understand others and ask questions, that hit me hard. Because I struggle with the same thing. Communication is both the cause and the solution to every damn quarrel we have. But we can't get anywhere without starting with curiosity. We can't get anywhere without starting with curiosity. Asking questions. Listening fully. That's why I didn't interrupt Sagi. I know so many people in the comments of this video had the urge and probably already posted it. Why didn't you say this when he said that? This is why. When people are in pain, they need to be seen. And that doesn't take away the pain that you're seeing in other people either. But when you have pain right in front of you, can we see it and not invalidate it? Because we can't get anywhere without starting with curiosity, asking questions, listening fully, and even smiling through it. You're one brave motherfucker, Calvin. I'll give you that. Watching your video was honestly touching. It reminded me I'm not alone. It's wild. Every time you cried, I found myself crying too. The way you tell a story is so immersive, but what struck me most was your courage, how unapologetically you wear your empathy on your sleeve. That's rare as hell. Honestly, I didn't want to admit this, but I was stunned how much your personality mirrored mine. The only difference, I'm not an ex-cult member and I'm an only child. I don't know what it was, but I still don't feel like I've done justice to explain why your video moved me the way it did. Some feelings are just too big for words. And I know you know what that's like. I sure do. Bro, come visit. It would be an honor to meet you and host you here. I've got my own ride. I know this country like the back of my hand. So if you ever decide to come, you can officially cross, find a local guide off your list. Hit me up anytime at my email if you've got questions or concerns. Hopefully one day I will get the chance to meet Sagi and argue about who makes the best hummus. What a beautiful fucking human line. This is coming from someone that has never even met an Israeli, has never even been to Israel, is an official enemy. Instead of arguing about existence, like that's so human, and argue about who makes the best hummus. Yes. By the way, that schnitzel you ate on Hearts Unknown is Homer donut drool. Fuck. I don't know what that says. Much love from your Canaanite brother. Peace. Peace indeed. Brother, thank you so much for this comment. I don't know who you are yet, but we've got to meet. I have had this tug of going to Lebanon. It's been ridiculous. There's been so many little things. In fact, I'll end it with this. Because I haven't shared this. When I left Israel, something was telling me I want to go north and I want to go to Lebanon. And I had a pit stop in Rome. And I go to this restaurant and there's this long line of people at the restaurant. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be a good spot. So I go there and this woman behind me comes up and she's wearing all of her Muslim clothes. And so I'm like, hey, how's it going? I was actually just over in your area. And I was like, where are you from? She says, I'm from Lebanon. And we had this amazing conversation in line for like 30 minutes, getting some of her perspective. Then I come back home here to New York. I sit down at this breakfast spot right when I get back. These three women come sit down. Two of them happen to be Jewish, and one of them happened to be a girl from Lebanon. She was a journalist. And I was like, this is wild. I was just over there. And of course, I got a lot of the Jewish perspective. I actually want to get the Lebanese perspective more too, because I just want to get perspective on that entire region. And she gave me her contact and like, yeah, let's stay in touch. The very next day. Oh, by the way, just as an aside, because this is just bananas to me. I had a message on WhatsApp that somebody sent me when I was traveling from Israel and pit stopping in Rome, and then the message was deleted. I had no idea what the message was, but the country code was 961. You don't have to even remember that. I'll come back to it. But the very next day after meeting these 3 women is I then was just walking the streets of New York, and New York was in its when New York is in its transition of spring to summer weather, it's really difficult to know how to dress because some days are really fucking hot and some days are really cold. And so if you dress light, but it's going to be a cold day, you're miserable. But also, if you put on all of your layers and it ends up being a warm day, you're also fucking miserable. And I see this woman on the side of the road or on the sidewalk trying to get her layers off. It ended up being a warmer day and she had way too many layers on, and she was holding bags, also trying to take off her coat. And so I just randomly stopped, just totally out of the blue. I was like, do you need somebody to hold your stuff while you like, because I totally got the intention of what she was trying to do. She did need to take some layers off because it was hot. And she was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. So I'm just standing there holding her stuff. And she says, do you live here? And I was like, yeah, I just live down the street. How about you? She's like, oh, I'm visiting. And I'm like, oh, from where? And she's like, from Lebanon. 3 times now. I got chills when I heard it that 3rd time because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She gave me a hug. She was like, we're meant to meet. Like, because we're brothers and sisters in this world. And the thing that's crazy when I was filming this, I went and checked the country code for whatever 961 is, because this was the WhatsApp message I got. And what is it? It's Lebanon. Lebanon, Lebanon, Lebanon. And this beautiful message from a supposed enemy of Israel, also from Lebanon. I don't even know how to make sense of all this. But the thing that I want to wrap this episode with is this. I fucking believe in people. I believe in the people that actually, like, I can see both sides. I get the invalidation that Sagi feels when people are protesting because it feels like it's going against Israel. I also want to say, just for any of my Palestinian brothers and sisters, you'd also deserve to be seen. Everybody deserves to be free. And this message that this person did, such a generous message to share. I'm so touched by it because it shows what is deep and real. There are people that give a fuck about each other, even though it appears to be on other sides, on opposing sides. And that is what I hope we can get more to, is recognizing each other in our humanity. Recognizing that if we've felt pain, then we can understand it in someone else. Yes, not stand for injustices and recognize the pain that we're causing each other, but also not invalidating pain when it's right in front of you, even if you know that there's bigger pain that's away from you. That's what's going to shift this, if it ever shifts. If it's ever going to shift, it's not going to be by proving something to somebody. It's not going to be by getting them to see the error of their ways and invalidating them into oblivion. It's going to be people that are willing to listen. And as this gentleman from Lebanon said, curiosity. I mean, why did that touch me so much? Let's see if you can see the back of the shirt. See if you can see the back of the shirt. Curiosity cures the divide. I'm not going to convince anybody of that. That's just something that I deeply believe. Thank you for watching if you got here to the end. This isn't clickbaity, YouTube algorithm crafted. It's not going to have 1 million views. But if this has 10 views or 100 views, like, it's I really believe that it's starting here, like the regular people that give a fuck enough to see people for people, even if it's a side that you don't agree with, but you see true pain. And my friend who made that comment, I would love to come to Lebanon. I would love to take you up on this offer. I'm still working out the financial piece of getting the YouTube channel where it needs to be sustainable. But yes, I would love to see your side. My other Palestinian brothers and sisters, I want to see your side. I want to see your pain. Humans have done impossible shit. We've hurt each other, yes, but we've also transcended a lot of things. What if this was the generation? With the global empathy that I know so many people have, what if this was the generation we shifted it? Not by trying to get somebody else to do something, but by us recognizing where we have some control and some power in our small ways, even if it's as simple as lending a listening ear. I'm Calvin. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.
Nobody do it like me. Nobody.